Hello, everyone. We are on chapter 11 of Gulliver's Travels by Jonathan Swift. The name of this chapter is A Dangerous Life. I enjoyed living in Bobdingnag, but there were many times when my size made life very dangerous. One day the dwarf spied me walking under an apple tree. He was still upset with me. He shook the tree. A shower of apples as big as melons knocked me flat. I was lucky not to be killed. Another time the gardener's dog spotted me and snatched me up in his teeth. He carried me to his master's feet and dropped me there as if I were a rabbit. I wasn't hurt, but I shall never forget my fright. Birds were also a nuisance. Usually they ignored me as they hopped around looking for worms, but a hawk as large as an English pony once swooped down and carried me away. I fought him off with my sword. One sunny day the queen had a grand idea. "Would you like to go sailing, Gilding?" she asked. "Oh, yes," I replied. "I miss it very much, but your smallest rowboat is bigger than the man-of-war in my country." The queen smiled. "If you can design a boat, I will have my carpenters make it for you," she said. I went to work at once. Soon I had the perfect boat, complete with sails. The queen held it in her hand like a toy. "It's lovely," she said. "Aren't you eager to try it?" I shook my head. "I would perish in a minute if the kingdom's huge rivers," I said. "Then we shall build a river just your size," the queen said. The queen ordered her carpenters to build a wooden trough 300 feet long and 50 feet wide. When it was filled with water, it made a perfect lake. I rowed and sailed for hours at a time. When I finished, Gildeclich hung my boat on a hook to dry. One day I was happily sailing on my private pond when I heard a loud kerchunk. It was an immense frog, bigger than a pig. It thought my boat was a lily pad, and it tried to climb on. "Get off!" I screamed, beating the creature on the head with my oar until it swam away. All of my frights, however, the worst was because of the cook's monkey. I was sitting near the open palace window 300 feet above the ground, enjoying the sun. I glanced out to the palace roof. The monkey, which was as large as a cow, had climbed up to my window. It snatched me in its furry paw and it clambered to the roof ridge. "Help!" I screamed. My cries were drowned by the monkey's loud chatter. Luckily, the gardener heard him, and soon a ladder appeared over the edge of the roof, and the gardener saved me. He was laughing, but I was frightened out of my wits. On another day, I heard the king playing his piano. The music was so loud that I had to sit at the far end of the room. When the king left, I decided to play it myself. The trouble was the piano was 60 feet long and the keys were a foot wide. I covered the end of a long stick with mouse fur and had the piano bench placed close to the piano. I ran up and down the bench, banging the keys with my stick. The tune wasn't bad, but the running was the hardest exercise of my life. One of my favorite pastimes was telling stories about England to the king. In wars, we could easily blow up buildings, shoot people, and sink ships filled with men, I said. The king was horrified. "How can anyone do such things?" he replied. "I will be happy to show you, your chemist, how to make gunpowder," I said. "Never!" the king cried. "How can creatures like you, as small as insects, think of such inhuman devices?" I hung my head. "I have no answer to that," I said sadly, and that is the end of chapter 11.